I'm going to show you how to make a rose made out of clay. Here are the materials you'll need: air dry clay, a small cup, some water, an index card or a small piece of paper, and paint is optional if you choose to paint your rose. Here is the air dry clay I used. It's relatively inexpensive. You'll need a piece about this big, which is a little bit larger than a golf ball, a cup of water. You just need a tiny cup. And I used an index card to lay my rose on to dry. You could also use a piece of paper. Okay, your first step is to take your piece of clay and pinch off a piece that's about the size of a marble. Roll it up and then smush the piece in your hand, and this is going to form the center of your rose. You want to get it nice and flat, and you want it to have thin edges. It doesn't have to be a perfect shape, but you want it to be like an elongated rose petal. Then you're going to roll it from one side, roll it like a loose burrito, and just pinch it on one end so that the clay is all stuck together. It'll look like that. You can set that piece aside. The second step, which will be repeated many times, is to take another small piece of clay, a little bit smaller than the size of a marble this time. Roll it again. And you're going to press it out in your hand to make the shape of a rose petal. So you're essentially just making petals and attaching them to that center. They can vary in size, but make sure the edges are pressed thin and flat. You peel it off your hand very carefully. The clay is fragile. Okay, this is where the water comes in. You just take your finger and dab it in the water. Get the clay wet at the bottom, and that makes what's called slip, which is just wet sticky clay. And you're going to attach it to your center. You want it to be loose at the top, but attached firmly at the bottom. So don't press all the way up. Just attach it from the bottom half down. And you want it to wrap around. To complete the rose, you repeat that step several times. I want to go ahead and make one more. Again, you want to make sure your edges of your rose petal are nice and thin. If you have imperfections, that's okay. You can just kind of put those at the bottom. So since I have a petal over on this side, I'm going to attach it on the opposite side now. You want your rose to stay balanced and even. So you just attach it at the bottom and keep it loose at the top. Okay, I'm getting ready to add the last petal to my rose. As you get near the end, you want to start making your petals a little bit bigger. And you can add them on a little bit more loosely. As you add your petals, you can adjust them a little bit, pull them apart, and flare them out to make the rose look more open. The more petals you add to your rose, the more full it will look. If you want it to set like a paperweight, like this finished one does, what you need to do is pinch off the bottom and kind of do a twist motion as you pinch it. So after you twist it off, you can just kind of smooth it out on the bottom. And then set it on your index card to dry. Make sure you have your students put their names on their cards and they can write their class period. And you can let it dry like that. I recommend letting it dry for 2 days before you paint it or do anything like that. If you're going to paint it, I recommend that you water down your paint and add layers of paint to build color instead of painting it with full thickness paint, so it doesn't look as fake. It'll make it look a little bit more natural and give it dimension. And your finished product will look like that if you decide to paint it.